how you came to create the Candid Collective and what it is in your own words as well.
We work a lot in the franchise industry and with multi-location brands to execute hyperlocal strategies.
Do your clients belong to a certain type of industry? Have you noticed a certain pattern with the people that you work with?
In today's age, you need to be able to meet your customers where they're at. It really just depends on what you're trying to do, who you're trying to get the word out to, and your business.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. This is brought to you by the Global Talent Company, helping fast-growing teams hire exceptional remote talent from Argentina, South Africa, and beyond. We connect companies with world-class professionals who bring skill, reliability, and a global perspective to every role. And just for our listeners today, we're offering an exclusive 10% discount on your first hire. So all you need to do is visit globaltalent.co, click Start Hiring, and mention the podcast listener discount when we reach out. And with me here today, I am speaking with Matthew Cancino, founder of the Candid Collective, a company that's crafting authentic, local-first video content that connects and then helps its clients distribute it. So, Matthew, it's a pleasure to have you on the show, man. How are you doing?
Pleasure to be here, brother. Thanks so much for the invite and the awesome introduction. It's pretty spot on. Probably better than I could have probably said it myself. So really grateful to be here.
No, we're also very happy that you were able to come on the episode, bro, and really excited to learn about all you have done with the Candid Collective. And with that said, in order to give the audience a bit more context, Matthew, would you be able to tell us maybe how you came to create the Candid Collective and what it is in your own words as well?
First of all, I think it's important to understand that we're still a young brand. So we started about 2 years ago now, and of which the first year I actually started it while I had a full-time job, which is non-traditional. A lot of entrepreneurs like, oh, quit your job and go all in, which I agree with. But also, the first year in business is one of the hardest times for a lot of businesses. So a lot of people will quit or you're in business to make money. So your first year in business, they say you don't make money, but you actually do make money. But what happens is you take that money and then you use that money on personal stuff, and then you're not left with a business anyway. So 1 out of the 2 years, I still had a full-time income. I was on the leadership team of a larger marketing agency called Bright Pink, and we were servicing multi-location franchise brands, building WordPress multi-sites for them. So I was consulting with them and helping these franchise brands really service their local franchisees. And I noticed kind of a gap in the market where we weren't providing local content for our clients. And the reason that we weren't is because it's hard to scale. So Imagine you have a business, you have a location in San Francisco, you have a location in Miami, and you need a local, just a picture even of a front store somewhere, but your entire team is in one of the two cities. Okay. So I thought in my head, what if we could create an app that essentially would be almost like an Uber, but for the $1,000 phone in everybody's pocket, right? And we could pay people $50 an hour to go out, get UGC content of these local areas, and then we could use that content to better serve our clients. So that was the original idea, and we actually started to invest a bunch of money into developing that when we first started out, and we failed. But 6-7 months into it, what we had was a team of awesome people all over the globe that were helping us and helping us become, essentially, we looked at what we had and we're like, we're going to stop developing and we're going to focus on solving the problem in a more internal way. And then we'll go back to the tech thing later on, but let's really serve our clients. Let's get a really good offer going. Let's get a really good company and a really good brand, because I'm really big on branding. And then I found out I was having a baby. And I was at a crossroads then, and instead of taking the safe route, I decided to quit my job and just go all in on Candid. So that's kind of a little bit of the origin story there.
Oh my goodness, man. And that is brave of you. And thank goodness it came out right and it was the correct decision. How long since that happened, man?
Yeah, so that was about a year ago. So, we've been about 2 years in. So, um, a year in, we were developing that tech. We were figuring a lot of stuff out. And I was doing it because I'm always respectful of whatever it is that I'm doing, right? So I was literally doing this like after work, like second job, weekends, that kind of stuff. And then I was burning myself out and the baby, was going to be here. So I made the decision to say that, my baby's never going to be the reason that I didn't chase my dreams, that dad didn't chase his dreams. So I was like, I'm going to take the harder road here and I'm going to take a chance on myself and on what we've built so far, and we've been growing ever since and figuring it out.
But I do understand what you mean in that at the beginning you were like juggling your main job and pursuing this as a side hustle because you got to make ends meet at the end of the day, right? But I do get that in when push came to shove, you must also have thought like it would be better to create my own empire than live in a relationship of dependency with another company. If I'm going to have a daughter and a family and whatever else comes in the future, it's cool to also have your own thing. And my question is, Matt, I noticed then that the Candid Collective grew from a point of friction that you noticed that wasn't actually being helped or worked on for companies. And do you just work with companies inside the United States, or are you able to record local content in other countries?
So it's an interesting question. I could probably apply the same fundamentals of how we scale local content in the States to another country. Um, so I do have editors and team members outside the States. So, and we function very well just with them editing and stuff. So it would only be I guess a little bit different mindset to fulfill on the service, but I don't know if I would be comfortable doing it. So, I wouldn't I wouldn't even know how to invoice out of the States right now, right? And I think, that's one thing, like, I don't, for anybody listening, when you start a business, that's something that you got to figure out. How are you going to get paid?
Of course. Of
Who
course.
teaches you that, right? Like, how do you know how to send an invoice, right? And then it's like you Google it and you stumble upon these Canva invoices or templates, but that's just a picture that doesn't actually run a credit card number. Maybe for
Mm,
cash, it's okay. But what's the underlying foundational stuff for your business that's going to keep you so when you're thinking about scaling, especially into a new market, you have to understand how are you going to get paid? Where are you going to get your customers? Assuming you got a customer and that's why you're trying to solve the problem, how are you going to pay the person shooting the content? Right? So that's another thing. So, yeah, but I mean, if the client is large enough, if the deal is right, we'll figure it out. I mean, 100%. It's the same thing. I mean, if it's in South America, se habla español.
sí hablamos, sí hablamos. And Matt, another question I have is, do your clients belong to a certain type of industry? Do they have you noticed a certain pattern with the people that you work with, or is it just like more of a random people that just clients that come and you serve them as they come?
Yeah, so we work a lot in the franchise industry, and with multi-location brands. So we also work very nicely with larger agencies, like the Ogilvies of the world and stuff like that, to provide video underneath larger campaigns like that. But to kind of, because that doesn't really mean anything, franchising and multi-location. So pretty much, everybody knows McDonald's, right? McDonald's is a franchise and they have thousands of locations. So everyone, a lot of those locations are owned at an individual level, not necessarily by corporate.
Of
So
course.
we work both with the corporate brand and then we also work with the local individual owners to execute hyperlocal strategies or execute national strategies that have local intent, right? Or regional intent. So now you can think, McDonald's in Super Bowl weekend, right? Probably investing millions of dollars on a national campaign. That's a national need. But let's say they wanted to target I don't know, a regional ad that they wanted to do. They're going to need regional footage to resonate with that audience specifically, or state or city. It just depends on what that is. And then when you get down all the way to like the local, that marketing is ran by that individual owner. So that's what I mean with franchise marketing, and how we kind of fit into that world. Multi-location is just the same thing, except maybe it's not owned individually. Maybe it's owned by a private equity group, or maybe it's owned by just an entrepreneur who grew their business to 12 locations. So we work with a window washing brand here in Florida,
Okay.
and they've grown to 4 locations now. And that would be an example of a multi-location client that we have. So each of those cities that they operate in, we need to create essentially a digital footprint for each of those cities.
Based on the customs, the people, and what you know is locally accepted and liked. So that way it's a more customized ad style, for example.
So like these multi-location businesses, right? It could be one brand that services multiple cities. You still need to have that footprint to serve your customers locally, especially service-based businesses, e-commerce, that kind of stuff where you can, it doesn't, you're shipping stuff out. Maybe it's not as hyper local, but in today's age, you need to be able to meet your customers where they're at.
I had never thought about hyper locality in terms of how you are implementing it, man, but I do see the value in what you're bringing to the table and how that really helps out a company that might not have this process as thought out as your agency already has. So it's a lot easier to just delegate and let the people who know how to do it just do it for you.
We work with a mold brand out of California. And they probably started out with 12 locations. They've like tripled that since then, into different cities, they've tripled their footprint. These people get thousands of clicks organically just because each of those cities is serving pages that are local for each of those things.
Right.
So hyper local digital marketing is super, super important, both on the video side, because yes, we're video experts. I can scale video, but also just your website in general, right? Like this is how the largest, like the McDonald's of the world, like the largest companies in the world, they already know this and they're already doing it. So like it's just the way that you have to serve your customers.
Okay. Okay. And Matt, another question I have is then you also like you take care of the creative aspect, the creation of the style of the ad, the recording of it, and then the distribution. And do you have to then follow certain guidelines by the companies, or do they just give you like free reign to do a campaign that you feel is fit?
So I think the short answer to that is it depends. Like that's the honest, right? Like it just like it depends on the client. But in my experience, every brand operates just a little bit differently. Every company operates a little bit differently. Every single business owner has a different way that they run their business, and that's okay. So oftentimes we have to meet them where they're at. Some business owners they don't even like have more than one Google business profile for their business. So if that's not in place to do a lot of these strategies, you need to multiply that. And then we can look at your website, and then we can say, okay, where's most of your money coming from? Where should we really get some of that hyper local content? But a lot of it is we treat everything. I like to think of like foundations, like building a house, right? So you want to build the foundation first really strong. And depending on where you're building, that foundation might look completely different. Your digital footprint needs a solid foundation, and that foundation might look a little bit different for your business, right? Do you have a retail space? Do you have a store where people come in, right? That's a different type of business than, let's say, our business in the digital space where we can operate anywhere. So all we need is service areas. So there's always distinctions to be had. It really just depends on what you're trying to do, who you're trying to get the word out to, and your business.
And Matt, with this endeavor that you have, how many people do you have helping you out? Like, how big is your team?
Yeah, so right now we have about 12 people on our team.
And this is like the main team for the Candid Collective, and it includes also the videographers that help you.
No, so we'll scale videographers up and down as we need. So there are videographers in that team. There's probably like three or four. But mostly in Florida. So we're happy to fly them out anywhere. It just depends on the project, the size of it, and the length of it and the scope. So like I said a little earlier, we will actively scale the team up or down, scale it up realistically, depending on the project. So let's say we had, a client that we were going to be working with for like 6 months in the Midwest. It's not going to make sense for me to fly out, videographers every single month. So in that case, one of the reasons I'm so big on brand and transparency is because it helps to attract other professionals and say, hey, like this is our clients, this is who we work with, this is what we're doing, right? We need help with this, and just very transparently, like, this is our budget, and then it's a yes or no. We're happy to collab. I don't need to white label your service. I don't need you to like pretend that you're part of the Candid Collective, unless you're going to do lots of work with us. Great, and you want to do that, but I want the people that we work with, so we rebranded, I would say, about a year ago, from Candid Socials, which was that original app idea, to Candid Collective, because we're really more of a collection of creatives. That's kind of like what we are. So like that rebranding served to help push that story forward and help us attract talent as we need it, and just help with transparency all the way through, which, by the way, is nothing necessarily new in the agency space. Right. So like some of our biggest clients is because we've worked underneath larger giants like Ogilvy. Right. So we did a video shoot for
Oh,
Dove, technically. Like Dove is
wow.
a
Okay.
skincare brand in this state. I don't know if they're in Argentina. But
Yeah, yeah, like the soaps and the lotions and everything like that.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we did a shoot with them, right? But it's not because we're shooting with Dove, we're on their Rolodex. It's because we were white labeled underneath a larger agency who contracted an influencer who we knew from like in the network because he's friends with my partner, Henry. So that's kind of how all of that tied in together. Agencies for a long time have taken local talent and then just whitewashed it and been like, oh, this is our work. So our difference is we work with this person if they want to be discovered. Because you'll be surprised how many people don't, they just want to do the work, man. They just want to make really cool shit. They want to show up, they want to do a good job, and then they want to go home, and that's it.
Amazing, man. Amazing. And Matt, do you have a what's it called? Do you have like a consistent pool of clients that you're always working with? Or from how I hear you speak about how your projects go, it might be 6 months, it might be 1 month. Like, do you have a certain amount of customers that are always set with you guys? Or is that a number that varies a lot?
No, so we've scaled the business right now where we have about 20 clients that we served month over month, every single month, doing everything from like maintenance to like SEO to video work for. And then of course we do have clients that will come back once a year. I mean, we've been operating for 2 years, so they've came back like every year. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like year over year like that. But yeah, we do have clients that will come back for bigger projects to execute like specific things.
Okay, okay, understood, understood. And another question I do have is this is when I ask everybody on the podcast because I just love to hear if there's any new or peculiar ways they're using this. And that is the trending topic of the moment, which is AI. Are you guys leveraging it in any weird or quirky way? Because I know companies have it for customer service and to read and see comments and stuff like that. But given the nature of your agency, I'm not sure if you guys are doing anything fun or different with it.
So AI is a tool, hardcore. And yeah, of course we use it in our business. It really helps us with planning, structuring. I use it a lot for data analysis and that kind of stuff. So you can take it and take large pools of data and then have it structure it so that way it's easier to understand. You can also use AI in the video on the video side. You can take transcripts and then you can have it identify the juiciest parts and then cut from there. Riverside has it baked in as well, and a lot of other
Yeah.
tools have that kind of functionality baked in. So it's not, I guess, as cutting edge as anything, but you can really take a lot of videos and do the same thing, whether it was recorded on Riverside or not. You can take videos, get their transcripts, and then use that transcript to create content from it.
It really is crazy, like everything you can do with AI. Every single day, I'm just like ecstatic about what I can find out, and whatever I have in my mind that I can bring down to earth through this tool that we now have available, I'm in. I'm all in for it. I don't feel it's gonna take my job. It's just gonna make me better.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think that's that's one of the biggest things with AI. It really is a mindset thing. What a lot of people don't understand about AI and ChatGPT, that it's built to make you happy.
Uh-huh.
You're a customer. So
Exactly.
what does that mean? So that means that even if you're wrong, it's still going to make you believe that you're right. It's going to definitely feed you what you want to hear, unless you train it specifically to rebuke what you think and force you to think into problems. But it definitely, people rely on it too much to answer questions, which is good. That's what it's for. It helps you to answer questions. And you should still have your own independent reasoning.
And Matt, I do have I noticed we're almost at time here with the podcast, but I do have one more question for you before I let you go. And that is, what is your goal as the founder, and knowing what you want the Candid Collective to become now that we're now in February, but that we're beginning 2026? What are your goals for this year, man?
My big audacious hairy goal is to work with 1,000 brands, work with 1,000 companies, help them make impact with their digital marketing. So
Amazing, man. And with the time that the Candid Collective has been going on, which is, if I'm not mistaken, 2 years, right?
yeah.
Okay. Now, with 2 years and with what you've accomplished already, I'm certain that you'll be able to meet your goals, bro. And most of all, after I'm hearing the way you think and how you like to do your stuff, I know it's all based on the foundations of getting things right. And when things are done that way, I know that they're built for the long run. So I know I can only wish you anything but luck, although I don't even know if you'll actually need it, man.
I think luck is an underappreciated thing in entrepreneurship. We all need a little luck, so I appreciate that, Andres.
No, no worries at all. The thing that I did after I for a long time was just saying, oh, I want to be lucky. I want to be lucky. I just ended up, and I read this somewhere, and it's the fact that luck is when opportunity meets preparation. So I just always got to be prepared from where that opportunity arises. And that's what the vibe I get from you, man. So I know you'll be lucky, bro. I know you'll
I
be lucky.
appreciate that. I believe it. Yeah. You got to believe to achieve, so
A hussy. And Mac, as a final remark, and just so that we can let anybody here hearing us that is and may be interested in what the Candid Collective offers, how would be the best way for them to get in contact with you and maybe see if it's a proper fit, if they're a company or maybe just an individual? How could that work?
well, of course, it's candidcollective.com, but if you Google my name, Matthew Cancino, my LinkedIn, and I'm probably the easiest person on planet Earth to get in touch with. So
Amazing, amazing. So anybody here who is interested and is listening to us, you heard it here first, thecandidcollective.com, or just look for Matthew Cancino on LinkedIn and make sure to hit him up to see if it's a proper fit for what they're offering and what your needs are. But with that said, Matthew, thank you so much, man, for hopping on the show, for bringing such a good energy, and for really telling us all your story and all your insights, man.
thanks for having me, Andres. I appreciate it.
No problem at all, man. And to anybody here with us as well, thank you so much for coming back to the show, for coming here with us and learning about all the different personalities that we talk to, and for also learning about all the different industries that we're seeing as well. So with that said, have a good one.